You're not blind, it's your wife who put something in your food, the girl said to the millionaire. The Poisoned Trust. Part 1. Blurred Vision. Marcus Harrington stepped out of his Bentley and gripped his head. Again, the same dizziness, the same blurred vision. It had become a daily occurrence now. "What's wrong, darling?" Victoria asked in her crimson coat, her voice dripping with concern. But something in her eyes told a different story. "Nothing, just my vision blurring again." Marcus adjusted his glasses. "I told you to see." "Dr. Johnson." "But you never listen." Victoria grabbed his arm. "Come, I've made special soup for you. You'll feel better." Marcus felt something was off. Since when did Victoria develop a passion for cooking? For the past 20 years, they'd had Chef Marie handle everything. But 6 months ago, Victoria had suddenly dismissed her, claiming she wanted to reconnect with her husband through home-cooked meals. "I think I'll take a walk first," Marcus said, pulling away gently. "I need fresh air." Victoria's smile tightened. "But the soup will get cold." "I'll be back in an hour." Marcus walked away before she could protest further. Part 2. An Unlikely Messenger. The park near Riverside Boulevard was Marcus's escape. Away from the boardrooms, the business deals, the pressure of running a billion-dollar tech empire. He sat on an old wooden bench, closing his eyes against the afternoon sun. "Mister, you shouldn't close your eyes here. Someone might rob you." Marcus opened his eyes to find a young girl standing before him. She wore an oversized jacket with patches on the elbows, and her hair was braided in neat rows. But it was her eyes that struck him, old beyond her years, sharp and observant. "Thank you for the warning. I'm Marcus. What's your name?" "Zara." She studied him with unsettling intensity. "You're sick, aren't you?" Marcus managed a weak smile. "Just a headache. It'll pass." "No." Zara sat down beside him without invitation. "You're being poisoned." The words hit Marcus like ice water. "That's a very serious thing to say, young lady." "Why would you?" "Because I know what it looks like." Zara's voice was steady, matter-of-fact. "My stepfather did it to my mom. Started with headaches and blurry vision. Then she couldn't walk straight. The doctors couldn't figure it out. By the time we realized what was happening, her kidneys were failing." Marcus's heart raced. "Is your mother?" "She's alive, barely. She's in long-term care now." Zara looked at her worn sneakers. "But I remember everything. The symptoms. The way he pretended to care while he was killing her slowly. I'm sorry for what happened to your mother, but what makes you think?" "I've seen you here before. 3 times in the past 2 weeks. Each time you look worse." Zara pulled out a cracked smartphone. "And today I saw your wife." Marcus stiffened. "Where?" "At the Riverside Cafe 2 hours ago. She was with a man. They weren't just talking." Zara scrolled through her phone. They were looking at documents. Legal papers. "I saw your photo on one of them." "That's impossible." Victoria was supposed to be at her charity luncheon. She was there. With him. Zara turned the phone toward Marcus. "I take pictures of everything. My social worker says it's a bad habit, but it saved my mom's case in court." The image on the screen made Marcus's blood run cold. There was Victoria in her red coat, leaning intimately toward Richard Castellano, Marcus's business partner of 15 years, and the trustee of his entire estate. Between them on the table lay documents. Marcus recognized his updated life insurance policy, recently increased to $30 million at Victoria's insistence. "I was sitting at the next table pretending to play games," Zara continued. "But I was listening. The man said something about another month, maybe 2, and making it look like natural causes. Your wife laughed and said you were already deteriorating perfectly." Marcus felt the bench spin beneath him. 12 months of unexplained symptoms. 12 months since Victoria had suddenly become the devoted wife, preparing all his meals personally, ensuring he took his special vitamins each morning. "You need to test your food," Zara said urgently. "Don't eat anything she gives you, and don't tell her you suspect anything." My mom's lawyer said that's what got my stepfather convicted. She secretly kept samples of her food and had them tested. Part 3. The investigation. Marcus didn't go home. Instead, he drove to his private office at Harrington Technologies, where the company's research lab could analyze chemical compounds. His hands trembled as he accessed the locked drawer in his desk where he'd been storing daily vitamin samples, something he'd started doing 2 weeks ago, when his symptoms worsened, though he hadn't known why. Dr. Sarah Chen, his head chemist and one of the few people he truly trusted, ran the tests personally. At 2 a.m., she called him into the lab, her face grave. "Marcus, these vitamins contain thallium sulfate." She pulled up the analysis on her screen. "It's a slow-acting poison, tasteless, odorless, in small doses over time. It causes exactly what you've been experiencing: neurological problems, vision issues, hair loss, and eventually complete organ failure." Marcus sank into a chair. "How long do I have?" "If you stop ingesting it now, you'll recover, though it'll take months. Your levels are high but not yet fatal." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "Marcus, who would do this to you?" He showed her Zara's photograph. Sarah's hand flew to her mouth. "Victoria and Richard? But they... For how long?" "I don't know, but I'm going to find out." Marcus pulled out his phone. "I need you to document everything. Every test, every result, and I need you to contact Detective Morrison at the NYPD. Tell her I'm calling in that favor she owes me." Part 4. The Trap. Detective Jennifer Morrison moved quickly. Within 48 hours, she had warrants to search Marcus's penthouse and Richard's apartment. What they found was damning. More thallium sulfate hidden in Victoria's private bathroom, email correspondence between Victoria and Richard dating back 3 years, and a life insurance policy that would pay out to Victoria, with Richard named as the executor who would manage the funds. But Morrison wanted more. She wanted a confession. "We need to let them think their plan is working," she told Marcus. "You go back home, act sick. I'll have officers monitoring everything." Marcus returned to the penthouse that evening, barely able to stand. It wasn't entirely an act. The poison had taken its toll. Victoria's face lit up with false concern. "Oh my God, Marcus, you look terrible. Come, sit down. I'll get your medicine." "No." Marcus waved her away. "I saw Dr. Johnson today. He thinks I might have a brain tumor." Victoria's eyes gleamed. "A tumor? Did he say how serious?" "Inoperable. Maybe 6 months." Marcus watched her carefully. "He wants to run more tests, but he's not optimistic." He saw it then, the flash of triumph Victoria couldn't quite hide. "Oh, darling, I'm so sorry." She embraced him, and Marcus had to fight not to recoil. "We'll get through this together. I'll take care of you." "Actually," Marcus said slowly, "I'm updating my will tomorrow. I want to make sure you're completely taken care of. Richard's helping me arrange everything." Victoria's smile was radiant. "That's very thoughtful of you." That night, hidden cameras caught Victoria on the phone with Richard. "He thinks it's a tumor. The fool has no idea. Another month and it'll all be over. $30 million, Richard. We'll finally have everything." Part 5. Justice Served. The arrest happened at dawn. Marcus watched from Detective Morrison's car as Victoria and Richard were led out in handcuffs. Victoria's face, when she saw him standing there healthy and very much alive, transformed from shock to pure hatred. "You bastard!" she screamed. "You were supposed to die." Richard said nothing, his lawyer's training kicking in even as his world collapsed. The trial lasted 3 months. The evidence was overwhelming. The poison, the emails, the recorded phone calls, and Zara's testimony about what she'd overheard. The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. On the charge of attempted murder in the 1st degree, we find the defendants guilty. Victoria received 25 years. Richard got 30, his betrayal of professional trust adding to his sentence. Part 6. Full circle. 6 months later, Marcus stood in the playground, of Zara's new school, one of the best private academies in the city. Her full scholarship courtesy of the Harrington Foundation. Zara ran over, her new backpack bouncing. Gone was the oversized jacket and the wary look in her eyes. She looked like what she was, a smart, happy 12-year-old. Mr. Harrington, did you come to see the science fair? My project won first place, I heard. Congratulations. Marcus handed her an envelope. This is for you. Inside was a letter of acceptance to a summer program at MIT. All expenses paid. Zara's eyes went wide. I can't accept. You can and you will. You saved my life, Zara. You didn't have to speak to me that day in the park. You could have walked away, minded your own business. But you chose courage over comfort. My mom always said we have to look out for each other. Zara's voice softened. She's doing better now, by the way. The new treatment you're paying for is working. I'm glad. Marcus knelt down to her eye level. I'm starting a new foundation to help kids like you who've witnessed or experienced poisoning and domestic abuse. I want you to be the first junior board member. What do you say? Really, me? Who better than someone who knows firsthand how important it is to speak up? Zara threw her arms around him, and Marcus felt something crack open in his chest. Something that had been frozen since Victoria's betrayal. Not all family was blood. Sometimes the people who saved you became your true family. Epilogue. New beginnings. 1 year later, Marcus stood before a crowd of 500 people at the inaugural Voices for the Voiceless Gala. The foundation had already helped over 200 children and adults escape poisoning situations, funding testing, legal fees, and safe housing. Zara, now 13, stood at the podium in a beautiful blue dress, addressing the crowd with the same fierce honesty that had saved Marcus's life. A lot of people told me I should mind my own business that day in the park, she said, her voice clear and strong. They said it wasn't my place to tell a stranger that I thought someone was hurting him. But here's what I learned from my mom's case and Mr. Harrington's. Silence protects the guilty. Speaking up protects the innocent. Even if your voice shakes, even if you're scared, even if you're just a kid, your voice matters. The crowd erupted in applause. Later, on the balcony overlooking the city lights, Zara found Marcus. Penny for your thoughts? She asked. Marcus smiled. I was just thinking about how sometimes the worst things that happen to us lead us to the best people. Victoria tried to take everything. My life, my money, my future. But she inadvertently gave me something more valuable. What's that? This foundation, a purpose beyond just making money. He looked at the young girl who'd become like a daughter to him. She wanted to destroy me, but instead she led me to save myself. And now we get to save others. Zara grinned. That's pretty poetic for a tech billionaire. I've been taking writing classes. You inspired me. Good, because the foundation newsletter needs better stories. She turned serious. Do you ever regret marrying her? Marcus considered this. I regret that she chose greed over love, but I don't regret the path it set me on. Every moment, good or bad, led me here. To you, to a life with real meaning. So what you're saying is, I should thank your evil ex-wife for being evil. Marcus laughed, a real, genuine laugh. Maybe not thank her, but acknowledge that even poison can become medicine if you survive it and learn from it. Zara nodded wisely. Deep. I'm using that quote for my college essay. You're 13. I like to plan ahead. As they stood together watching the city sparkle below, Marcus realized that Zara had done more than save his life that day in the park. She'd reminded him what life was worth living for. Truth, justice, and the courage to speak up when others might look away. Victoria was in prison. Richard had lost everything. And Marcus had lost his marriage. But he'd gained something infinitely more precious, a chosen family, a true purpose, and the knowledge that sometimes salvation comes from the most unexpected angels. A wise young girl in an oversized jacket, brave enough to tell a stranger the hardest truth. You're not blind. It's your wife who's poisoning you. And in speaking that truth, she'd saved more than one life. She'd saved his soul,